Emily was tidying up the house when unexpectedly the doorbell rang. Her husband, Ethan, had left for some errands not long ago, and their daughter, Lily, was playing upstairs. It was strange. Ethan had his keys, and no one else was expected. Emily opened the door to find a young boy around 10 years old standing on the doorstep. He had an air of seriousness about him, his dark eyes intent on her. "Hello," he said in a quiet but firm voice. "Is Mr. Ethan home?" "Hello there," Emily replied, slightly taken aback. "He's not here right now. Can I help you with something?" The boy shook his head. "No, I need to speak to him. It's important, really important." "Well, he's not home at the moment, but you can tell me. I'm his wife." The boy looked away for a moment, considering his response. "It has to be him," he muttered. "When will he be back?" Emily's curiosity grew. "I'm not sure. He comes and goes, depending on work. Can you tell me what this is about? Is something wrong?" "Not yet," the boy said, locking eyes with her again. "But something will happen, soon." And with that cryptic statement, he turned and walked away, leaving Emily standing in the doorway, bewildered. When Ethan returned home later that evening, Emily wasted no time in telling him about the strange visitor. "Ethan, a boy came by today, about 10 years old. He said he needed to talk to you. Something important. He wouldn't tell me what it was about." Ethan looked up from removing his jacket, his brow furrowed. "A boy? I don't know any kids that age. What did he say?" "Nothing really, except that something is going to happen. He refused to talk to me about it, said it was only for you." Ethan shrugged, heading toward the shower. "Probably just a kid from the neighborhood pulling some kind of prank. I wouldn't worry about it." But Emily couldn't shake the unease that had settled in her chest. The boy's words echoed in her mind, and a growing dread took root. What did he mean by, "something will happen"? And why had he insisted on talking to Ethan? As Emily prepared dinner, her thoughts spun wildly, piecing together possibilities. What if the boy was Ethan's son from a previous relationship? One he didn't know about. Ethan had dated other women before they met. Perhaps one had hidden a pregnancy, and now, years later, had sent the boy to find his father. She recalled the stories Ethan had told her, particularly about one woman, Rachel. Their relationship had been serious, nearly leading to marriage, but Rachel had left him for someone else, leaving Ethan heartbroken. Could it be her? Could the boy be their child? The next day, Emily's curiosity got the better of her. She waited until they were having coffee to ask, trying to sound casual. "Ethan, do you remember that girl you almost married? What was her name again?" "Rachel, wasn't it? Do you know whatever happened to her?" Ethan raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised by the question. "Rachel Carter? Yeah, I remember. Why are you bringing her up now?" "Oh, no reason," Emily said, stirring her coffee. "I was just thinking about old relationships. You know everything about my past, but I feel like I don't know much about yours." Ethan shook his head with a small smile. "Rachel's history. I haven't seen or heard from her in years, and honestly, I don't want to." Emily nodded, but her mind was already racing ahead. If Rachel had moved on, maybe she had remarried and changed her last name. How would she even begin to find her? Later that evening, Emily couldn't resist the urge to look up Rachel Carter on social media. Several profiles came up, but none gave her the answers she sought. Frustrated, she closed her laptop, realizing she was chasing a wild theory. Maybe the boy would come back. Maybe he would tell them more. The next day, Ethan came home with unexpected news. "Emily, they're sending me on a business trip. Just a quick one to Chicago. I'm the only one available to negotiate this big contract, and they think I'm the best for the job. If it goes well, it could mean a big raise." A familiar feeling of unease swept over Emily. Ethan hadn't been on a business trip in years. Was this connected to the boy? Was there something Ethan wasn't telling her? Her thoughts spiraled out of control as doubt gnawed at her. What if the boy's warning was true, and something was indeed about to happen? Ethan was leaving in 3 days. Emily hoped that in the meantime, she'd get a sign, some clue that would calm her growing fears. The day before Ethan's scheduled business trip, the boy showed up again. Since Ethan wasn't home, Emily invited Oliver inside and offered him a seat at the kitchen table. "All right," she said, "why don't you tell me what you wanted to say to Ethan? I'm his wife, and he trusts me. I'll pass on whatever you need to tell him." "What's your name, by the way?" "My name's Oliver." "But my mom said I should only speak to Ethan. It's important." And what is it that you need to tell him? Emily pressed gently. I promise I'll hear it from him later anyway. There's nothing to be scared of, so go ahead. Oliver's words left Emily in complete shock. You see, my mom, she comes to me in my dreams. She passed away 5 years ago, but every time something's about to happen, she warns me. My grandmother, Mrs. Wilson, says we have a spiritual bond. Mom loved me so much. I barely remember her, really. But we still have photos, so I know what she looked like. I've never met my dad, though. Grandma says he wasn't a good person. Emily's heart ached for the boy, but before she could respond, he continued. Recently, she started asking me to come here. She gave me your address and told me I had to speak to Ethan personally. She said it was really important. What did she want you to tell him, Oliver? Emily asked, her curiosity mixed with disbelief. She said if he goes on his trip, he'll die. He has to refuse it before it's too late. Emily's heart raced. Did your mom know Ethan when she was alive? Why would she care about him? I don't know, Oliver said, shaking his head. She only told me to pass on the message, that's all. Yes, Ethan is going on a business trip, Emily admitted cautiously. But I don't think he'll understand. After all, it's just a dream. How can anyone take it seriously? My mom doesn't make mistakes, Oliver said with quiet certainty. Please tell him. I have to go now. Grandma will be worried if I'm late. Before Emily could ask more, Oliver slipped out the door. As she watched him go, Emily's mind raced. What was she supposed to make of all this? She didn't believe in the supernatural, but the boy had been so sincere. Why would some deceased woman care about her husband's business trip? Maybe they had known each other once? Could Oliver be Ethan's son? When Ethan finally came home that evening, Emily told him everything about her conversation with Oliver. Ethan chuckled dismissively. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to let some random kid and his dead mother dictate my life. Besides, I have no idea who this woman even is. Though Ethan shrugged it off, Emily felt uneasy. Oliver's strange message lingered in the back of her mind. Well, he didn't ask for money or anything, Emily mused. If this was some kind of trick, wouldn't he have wanted something in return? Despite her doubts, Emily couldn't shake the sinking feeling in her chest. When Ethan left for his trip early the next morning, she felt as though a shadow followed him out the door. He called her later that day. Emily, don't panic, Ethan began, his voice steady but tense. There's been an accident. What happened? Emily's heart leapt into her throat. Are you all right? I'm fine, he reassured her. I was driving along, listening to music, when suddenly, out of nowhere, this woman appeared in the middle of the road. I swerved hard to avoid her, and my car flipped off the road into a field. It rolled once, but I was wearing my seatbelt. Apart from some bruises and a few cuts, I'm fine. The windshield's smashed and the car's banged up pretty bad, but it's all fixable. Emily could barely breathe as she listened. The thing is, right ahead of me was a tanker truck. A car hit it, and then it collided with another one behind it. They both exploded. No one survived. If I hadn't swerved, I would have been caught in the wreck too. Whoever that woman was, she saved my life. What about her? Emily asked, her voice shaky. The woman who appeared? I don't know, Ethan admitted, sounding just as bewildered. It's like she vanished into thin air. I have no idea where she went. Thank God you're all right, Ethan. That's all that matters. Come home as soon as you can. Ethan returned late that night, his face pale with exhaustion. Emily had dinner waiting, but her mind was still spinning. Ethan, don't you think it's strange that Oliver said this would happen? And then you saw a woman on the road, right when the accident happened. What if she was Grace? Oliver's mother? Ethan shook his head, still too shaken to entertain the thought. It's just a coincidence, Emily. Accidents happen every day. I don't believe in ghosts. Besides, why would she save me? Maybe it's more than just a coincidence. Emily whispered, but Ethan had already headed for the shower, leaving her to puzzle over the mystery alone. That night, Ethan was plagued by nightmares. Flames, strange people, and a woman's desperate cry, "Save Oliver." He dreamt he was rescuing a boy from a burning building. The next morning, Ethan turned to Emily with a heavy heart. You know, I think I figured out who that woman was and who Oliver really is. 5 years ago, I was walking home from a friend's place. There was a fire in an apartment on the ground floor of one of the buildings. We were waiting for the fire brigade, and no one dared to go inside. I couldn't just stand by, So I went in. I heard a woman's voice crying for a boy named Oliver. I found him, barely alive from smoke inhalation. But I couldn't save his mother. She died in the fire. Emily's eyes widened. So, that means that's how it fits together, Ethan said, nodding. The woman who appeared and saved me. She must have been Oliver's mother, Grace. She was trying to thank me, to keep me from going on that trip. Oliver must be the same boy I saved. That's incredible, Emily said, trying to grasp the magnitude of what they were hearing. So, Grace saved you in return for saving Oliver. That evening, Emily and Ethan went to the apartment where the fire had occurred 5 years ago. An older woman, around 60, answered the door. Hello, Emily began. We're here to ask about the boy I rescued from the fire 5 years ago. Is he here? Hello, the woman replied warmly. Oliver lives here with me. We've repaired the apartment since the fire. Please come in. As they entered, the woman continued. After the fire, Oliver lost his memory due to the trauma. He doesn't remember his mother or the fire, only what he's seen in photographs. We didn't want to upset him, so we never told him the full story. I know Grace, his mother, appears to him in dreams and helps him, giving him guidance. But she doesn't visit me. We were staying with friends while the apartment was being fixed. I can't thank you enough for saving him. Without you, he wouldn't be here. Emily and Ethan exchanged glances, the weight of the situation settling in. I would like to see a photo of Grace, Ethan said, to know more about her. The woman went to fetch a photo album. She handed Ethan a picture of a beautiful woman, her eyes kind and her smile warm. Ethan took the photo, and it was clear. The woman in the picture was indeed the same one who had appeared to him on the road. The door opened, and Oliver walked in. He saw Ethan and Emily and nodded as if he had been expecting them. Hello, Oliver said. Mom said you're doing well. She averted the danger, although she wasn't supposed to. She said you shouldn't travel that road ever again. Otherwise, it will happen again. Ethan was moved by Oliver's words. Thank you, Oliver. I would like to visit Grace's grave. Would you and Mrs. Wilson join us? Oliver nodded, and they all went to the cemetery. At Grace's grave, Ethan laid down a large bouquet of red roses. The sense of interconnectedness and gratitude filled the air. Oliver, Ethan said, turning to the boy, I'd love for us to be friends. How about joining me for a soccer game sometime? And I know a great fishing spot I'd like to take you to. My daughter is too young for these outings, but I think you and I would get along well. What do you say? Oliver's face lit up with a smile. He could sense that Ethan was a trustworthy person. I'd like that very much, Oliver said eagerly. And so, amidst the bonds formed through past deeds and newfound friendships, the paths of these lives intertwined in a way that none could have predicted. The days passed, and Ethan and Oliver grew closer. They spent weekends playing soccer and exploring the fishing spots that Ethan had promised. Oliver's laughter and excitement brought a new energy into Ethan's life, and the two quickly became friends. One Saturday, as they fished by a tranquil lake, Ethan asked, Oliver, have you ever thought about what you want to do when you grow up? Oliver looked thoughtful for a moment before replying, I want to help people, like you did. Maybe become a firefighter or a paramedic. I want to save lives, just like my mom helped you. Ethan was touched by Oliver's words. That's a noble goal. You have the heart of a hero, just like your mother. Their weekends together were filled with adventure and joy. But one evening, as they were winding down from a day of fishing, Ethan received a call from his office. They needed him to handle an urgent project, and it required him to work late. Ethan felt a pang of worry. He had promised Oliver a fishing trip that weekend. He shared the news with Oliver, who was disappointed but understanding. It's okay, Mr. Ethan. Work is important. I'll wait for the next time. Emily, who had been supportive of Ethan's new friendship, suggested they have a small gathering at their home for Oliver. Why don't we have a little get-together? It's been a while since Oliver and Lily have had a chance to spend time together. The gathering was a cozy affair with good food and laughter. Lily and Oliver enjoyed playing games together, their bond growing stronger. The evening was a reminder of the simple joys of life and the importance of family and friendship. Later that night, as Ethan and Emily were cleaning up, Ethan said, You know, Emily, I never expected that helping Oliver would lead to such a profound connection. Grace's legacy lives on through him, and it feels like we've gained another family member. Emily nodded, smiling. It's amazing how life works out. Sometimes the unexpected connections turn out to be the most meaningful. As they finished tidying up, Ethan glanced at the photo of Grace on the mantel. Her memory was a constant reminder of the importance of kindness and the power of a selfless act. The weeks turned into months, and the friendship between Ethan, Emily, and Oliver deepened. Oliver's presence brought a sense of completeness to their lives, and they cherished every moment spent together. One day, while they were all at the park, Ethan received another call. This time, it was an opportunity to be involved in a community project aimed at improving safety measures. He was thrilled and knew it was a chance to honor Grace's memory by making a positive impact on the community. As Ethan shared the news with Oliver and Emily, Oliver's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That's great, Mr. Ethan. I can't wait to help out too." With each passing day, Ethan and Emily realized how fortunate they were to have Oliver in their lives. The once mysterious and daunting encounter with Grace had blossomed into a beautiful and enduring friendship. And as they looked forward to the future, they knew that their lives had been forever changed by the kindness of a woman who, even in death, continued to touch their hearts and guide their way. That's how the story ends, friends. Join the conversation below and express your thoughts on this novel. If you found it captivating, share the link with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new story that will make your heart race. Your support inspires us to create more tales. All the best to you. Take care and see you next time.